Well, I think it's time to get caught up in the world and talk about what everybody's talking about. Some old guy got elected into the office. That's a different old guy, and the two old guys, yelled at each other, and they pretty much made a mockery of each other. One party's dead, and the other party is thriving, but not in the way that you like. And let's just get into it.
There are certain things you cannot deport an undocumented alien for, an undocumented person for.
Whoops, that was a Freudian slip there. This is Gray Fox 37.
And Pikachu 23.
And I guess we're just going to have to talk about a lot of stuff that's been going on in the month of January, and I've been kind of dreading talking about this, not in the sense of cope or defeat or anything like that, but just pretty much, a lot of people are worried, and I'm not really thrilled with a lot of shit that's been going down, and from both sides, honestly. But first things first, I gotta say, unfortunately, my laptop's GeForce Experience program is not working. I have uninstalled and reinstalled it several times, and it keeps giving me an error. And unfortunately, mobile gaming, I was planning on getting Secret of Mana out of the way, and just all sorts of wonderful, fun stuff that we could do, unfortunately has to go on hold because of that stupid laptop. It's on its last legs. I'm getting blue screens when I restart. There's nothing I can do about it. I've done everything in the book when I ran debugging, and well, the good news is that my company is going to be getting me a shit ton of money in a few months, and I'm going to buy a new laptop with that, and we've got fun plans for vacation. We're planning a week trip to Tombstone, Carlsbad Caverns, and Big Bend National Park, so looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing if I'm going to be getting, after retirement percentage that I'll be putting in, I'll be getting anywhere from like $5,000 to $7,000 left over, which will be great. And part of that will go to laptop, part of that will go to vacation, and then part of that will be going to my savings. So at least there's some nice stuff for the future there. Things have been, sadly, Notre Dame got destroyed like I figured they would, but, it is what it is. Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson rule college football, and that's just the way it is there. A lot of interesting stuff's going to happen. They got put on probation because apparently Brian Kelly was committing recruiting violations, so yippee to that!
Nice job, genius.
But we'll see who's going to be the new quarterback, and they're in line for, apparently one of the best quarterbacks in the nation for, 2022. But it's he'll get a great education if he comes to Notre Dame, but he better look forward to getting regressed just like Book was. Yeah! But, basketball's been interesting. Arizona beat Arizona State on Thursday night on a last-second shot. I was screaming my lungs out. Just like when Notre Dame beat Clemson in November, I was just going crazy. Yeah. It felt good to do that. Tubelis and Matherin have emerged as the superstars of the freshman class, so I thought that was great. Rematch is going to be Monday night, so that's going to be really fun to watch. It'll be in Tucson. Arizona's women's team is thriving. They had a sloppy victory against Utah, but it's still good to see them hold their own. Stanford blitzed them, but I'm not surprised at that. Arizona still has a few limbs to climb, but they're on the right path. They've been doing ever since they won the NIT championship 2 years ago. They've been climbing up well. So, and we were at that championship. Yeah. That was fun. Sadly, Notre Dame lost the national championship the next day. It would have been great. Arizona winning the NIT and Notre Dame winning the Natty, but, alas, it was just short a point.
Yeah.
Hey, rest in peace to Larry King there. He was a legend, basically, for talk TV and radio, and, died at 87, so at least he lived a full life there, and I'll never forget Norm Macdonald's impersonation of him. It was pretty funny. Now, I'm dreading the death of Clint Eastwood. I know that's probably going to be coming in the future, and, a lot of the goodies are just going, sadly, especially with Sean Connery back in Halloween. Well, speaking of Sean Connery, I got my little buddy Junior into basically my little nephew Junior into James Bond. He's obsessed with Dr. No, which is great, and I'm going to show him From Russia with Love next time. And his mother was just saying, you got him hooked and everything. It's like, shame on you. It's like, I know. I got him a airsoft Walther PPK, so I know he's really going to love that. I got my own too, and it's a nice little pistol there.
Yeah, it's very cute for a gun.
Very cute for a gun.
It's really small. Look at it.
Yep. nice and light and a lady's handbag, but that was the Beretta. The old World War II Berettas were pretty compact, so, and they did have some jamming problems, but the 92 FS today is still a decent 9mm, so can't complain too much there. I mean, the Army adopted their own M9 model of it, and it served pretty well. 6-hour P226 is the way to go now, though. It's a little more compact and, still it's a spiffy gun, so, for a pistol. Well, got all that out of the way, so we'll primarily be doing my gaming or, recording stuff on my desktop, and since, both, of course, have Windows 10 now, it's all good. New background, of course, I've got the 4 Archfiends of the Elements with Golbez there from Final Fantasy IV, so decided to do a switch up on the background since I've been obsessed with playing Final Fantasy games lately. Alright, so basically at this time, I guess we just got to get to the nitty gritty now. So, in case you've been running or living under a rock and everything like that, I mean, we pretty much anticipated this. Trump's lawsuit basically didn't go through on the suspected voter fraud, and I'm not really surprised at it. I suspected there was some foul play involved, but I knew it really wasn't going to make a difference or change anything. I mean, realistically, you can call it covering up. You can call it like, the Democrats covering up again. You can call it just a witch hunt. You can call it a waste of time. I mean, you're probably correct in all matters of that, but it is what it is. I mean, Biden got inaugurated on the 20th and pretty much just went to doing what he was going to do, which
pursuit thingy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's one of those pursuit thingies. Yeah, South Park, that's good. So he pretty much is doing what we pretty much figured he would do: cater to activists, and I mean, it's great that racism is finally over and fascism's over. And oh no, wait, I'm sorry, I forgot. Antifa's still employing fascist tactics in Oregon. Forgot about that. And they have attacked the Democrat headquarters. Now, it was funny on social media. I love this person that said, I thought Antifa loved the Democrats. It's like, no, Antifa are anarchists. They don't give a shit about any government or anything of that nature. All they care about is their own special, their special snowflake ideals of basically getting communist power into the country. And what's ironic is that I'm foreseeing basically that, the Democrats used them pretty much. They used them, they catered to them and used them because they knew that there were like a lot of left-leaning libertarians and then progressives that supported Antifa and basically decided, you know what, this is fantastic, Antifa is just an idea. But what's going to happen now is that eventually, because now Antifa is going after Democratic headquarters, I wouldn't be surprised eventually if Biden actually does put into effect some kind of martial law or something of that nature to basically get these idiots to, stop destroying private property and whatnot. I mean, it's just that's what these activists are. They're a means to an end. You cater to the opposition, and the Democrats were smart. They catered to the opposition because the opposition growing in this country with millennials basically was just their target, and boomers are very, very adept at identifying ways to control power and whatnot, and power can basically be done through activism in this sort of case. So that's what they did. They just basically did all this just wonderful, hey, I'm your buddy, Mr. Tranny. Yeah, I'm your best friend. And, now they're pretty much going to be, destroying natural society through all these moves they're doing. I mean, but we've got the little small things like, of course, being able to put your pronouns through the White House page, and they even have that at my job now too. It's like, all right, this is such great diversity and equality. Like, this is really great stuff that matters in healing and unifying our country.
Totally matters. Oh my God.
I can identify as an M4 Sherman tank now. Racism's over. Yeah. I feel so much happier now that I can identify as an it. And what's going to be
I want
greater?
to identify as a robot.
There you go. And what's going to like Proto Magical Girl does, yeah. And what's going to be even better what's going to be even better is the wonderful health council member, the trainee that was elected in. I mean, it's going to be able to, push for people who are misgendering people. They're going to start pushing for them to have mental illnesses.
Oh, yes.
Let me tell you something. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. But seriously, to just go as far as to just say that somebody who doesn't agree with your warped delusional reality has a mental illness, and you're the one that's living in denial. That's kind of a nice piece of, what's that H word again? Hypocrisy.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually wanted to say something about
go for it.
For instance, now part of this doesn't apply to me and part of it does. So what if you see a person that's dressed in kind of ambiguous clothing and you can't tell and you get punished for it? For me, there's a lot of people, and we watch videos and everything else, there's a lot of people, I can't tell sometimes. Is that a dude or a chick? I can't tell. They have a weird voice. I don't want to get punished for that.
Well,
it's retarded.
That's because that's when you have to ask them, what do you identify as? But you don't. Yeah, exactly. That's not awkward. Exactly. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. It's the stupidest thing in the fucking world. If you want to be identified as if you're tough to identify, and it's like over the phone, it's like sometimes you hear some people like, sorry, like when I did call center work and stuff, it's like some women sounded like dudes and some dudes sounded like women, or it's like the high talker in Seinfeld. I demand an explanation. Noreen, are you crying? This is Dad.
Exactly.
But I digress. I mean, here's the thing, though. Do you see how easy this can be taken advantage of? Mm-hmm. You can go on I mean, these are people, so these are sensitive people. These are extremely oppressed, sensitive, like fake, false oppressed, sensitive people, to where even if you state, like, let's say that you do respect their pronouns, for example, and you misgender them, but they're like, oh, I've got this PTSD, so you're toast. If they were to implement this sort of mental illness bullshit into this, you're toast. They're going to put you on, more than likely they're going to put you on medications, or they're going to lock you up or something, And if you think it's not possible, I mean, look what they've done over in the UK. Oh my God, Count Dacula taught a pug to do the Heil Hitler as a joke. Oh, that's a 30-day jail sentence for you right there. Look what happens in Australia. You're under arrest for incitement. Oh, dear me. And we saw what happened on January 6th. We already saw all of that, which we'll get to about that.
And then the thing in Canada, what is it exactly that we were watching yesterday or the night before? It was something about the pronouns and stuff. They actually did. That guy was talking about it.
Jordan Peterson. Yeah, no, right. Yeah, I mean, Jordan Peterson just, basically, when they were talking about forcing, trying to force him into accepting certain things, he refused to, and he said he'd even go as far as into a hunger strike. There's going to be several people that'll do that. You can't, again, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but you can't force somebody to change their mind. Even if they think the most disgusting things, I mean, and this is thought compared to action. So this is where I'm coming from. If somebody is legitimately racist, like they use the N-word, but they're not using it as an irony or like as a joke or something of that nature. Oh, it's not a joke when it comes at. Yeah, it is. It can be, because comedy's subjective. But anyway, if there's people that are sincere and view that white people are supreme over everyone else and whatnot, if there's people who view themselves like black people are supreme or kings or things like that, which is pretty much racism in itself there too, ironically enough. I mean, if there's people that are like that and think that, but if those are their thoughts and they're talking about things of that nature, and people just happen to see like-mindedness to it, how is that any different from like basically people coming together, basically getting into like, I don't know, breast milk fetishes or My Little Pony or basically video games or stuff? Oh, these are just basically hobbies or fetishes, blah blah. Well, fetishes and hobbies can still be damaging in certain senses, and I know it can seem like comparing apples to oranges in this kind of case here, but if you think about it, I've seen obsessed fandom. I'm a Notre Dame fan, for Christ's sake. I've seen obsessed fandom, if you're religious, whatever, but, you know, people are just like, oh, being an Indian fan's all about faith, and, you know, oh, it's just, you know, you gotta, we're doing better, and, we're, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, we're gonna accept these 10-win seasons, even though we've only had one elite win since 2012, and that was Clemson, but, you know, oh, Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing, and, you know, and that's true. I mean, he decimated us in the ACC championship, but you see what I'm talking about? When you start to criticize something, a team, a video game, a fandom, a fetish even, there's so many obsessed people out there that will take it as far as to thinking that you've insulted their family, basically. And it's the same thing when it comes to politics. If you say anything harsh about Trump or Biden or anybody, it doesn't matter the side. There are so many radical people or so many passionate people that will come after you. But they're words. They're just words. Now, what happens though if you take the words and you basically go beyond words and you start doing actions?
Like Antifa?
Or like a bunch of immature Republicans that pretty much, I mean, we'll get to that sort of thing, but yeah, let's get onto that topic before we continue about Biden. So January 6th, you know, basically, Capitol was stormed, you know, these childish Republicans, MAGA lovers, all whatever you want to call them, that started a riot, basically. Broke a couple windows, you know, think 3 to 5 people injured, dead, you know, lost a police officer, innocent woman got shot by a cop, unarmed woman, mind you, got shot by a cop, and, you know, it's kind of ironic considering that I thought that, you know, white people were so privileged that the police wouldn't shoot them, and then all of a sudden, you know, this poor woman gets shot. You know, she was saying a lot of radical things on her social media and everything like that. She was fed up. I understand that. It's the same thing with Antifa. A lot of people are fed up. Even if the ideals are bullshit, you know, you push somebody far enough, and this is what can happen. That's a choice they make, though, and it's a risk in life that unfortunately we have to take with that. I don't condone violence from either side, though, regardless. Yeah. So they broke a couple windows on Capitol Hill, had a guy coming in, you know, that had Nordic symbols on his chest, and they're calling him a Nazi because the Nazis did believe in a lot of, like, Nordic symbols, like, basically a lot of symbology and things of that nature, whatever you call it. So what's funny is that the left is judging this one guy, and this is what I've seen on social media, so I'm not going to use names, but the left is judging this one guy and thinking that this one guy represents every, like, right-leaner of all sorts. Well, I hate to break it to you, but Pikachu and I don't wear Nordic or tattoo Nordic symbols on our bodies, and you know, we don't go storming into Capitol buildings or anything of that nature to start a ruckus. Excuse me, there. You know, we don't basically go around destroying businesses, blocking freeways, especially because Biden got elected. No, we don't do that. We're disappointed. We're a little concerned about the future, as anybody would be. You know, but at the same time, though, I mean, shit. There's nothing that's going to be solved by hurting innocent people or destroying innocent business or property. So the funny thing about it was that I really laughed at. There were two things. Number one, I loved how they got Nancy Pelosi's podium. That was pretty funny. You know, like I said, it was childish, immature, but like I said, I have a broad sense of humor, so I find things like that pretty funny. You know, and then number two, I love the irony of this riot. The right-wingers went to Capitol Hill, the bane of what should be everybody's existence, because no politician truly gives a shit about people, honestly. You just boil it down to it. And it's funny how they vented their grievances off where it pretty much mattered, Capitol Hill. Meanwhile, you've got people that are, you know, basically destroying public property, destroying people's livelihoods through their businesses, keeping people in fear over false oppression. So, you know, then it's like, oh, well, these people are just pissed off but, you know, Trump lost. That's part of it, yeah, and I think that's ridiculous. I think that part's ridiculous. But there's sincerely some people that are pissed off about the future of the new administration and whatnot. It doesn't justify or warrant violence still, but, you know, all that they're seeing on the surface is just Trump lost, Biden won. That's it. That's only a part of it. Then you go to the other side, it's like, oh, well, you know, they're fighting for us, and they're mad and angry and unhappy and PTSD and sad because so many people, black people, are being shot by police officers. if you want to go, well, that's what a lot of these riots are basically. This black, that's what started it, with George Floyd. Let me tell you something. Murdering black people just because of the color of their skin and the way that they died without looking at the lack of contribution to their society is disgusting. Murdering somebody over the color of their skin, I don't care if it's black, white, brown, whatever, that's fanaticism right there. How George Floyd was handled was over the top, extremely over the top. However, he was no saint as these people are portraying him as. He was a drug user, drug addict. He was an attempted murderer. He was a criminal. He was going to use counterfeit money that day. Oh, it's not worth losing your life over one. Well, let me tell you something. If you resisting arrest is one of the lead one of the lead deaths of black people in this country. And the thing is that if you're going to put yourself in a sense to where you're going to resist arrest, if you're going to put yourself into relationships with people that are known dangerous, crazy, out of control, you take those risks of potentially running into a circumstance like that. Whether and you can easily say the same thing about that Trump supporter too. When you take these risks, you put yourself in the line of fire often. And if you take and there's going to be those rare instances where, like the way George Floyd was handled, or like the way that poor white woman was shot, or the way that Breonna Taylor sadly took a bullet because of her fucking boyfriend. If it's these associations, these causes, these decisions that you make that are going to jeopardize your life and others around you, it's choice. That's one of the components of freedom, is your freedom of choice. You're not free of consequence, though, as the left, also chants out when it comes to freedom of speech. But apparently, when it comes to basically resisting arrest or coming at somebody, oh, he's got mental issues, he could have shot him, blah, blah, blah. Do you really want to see somebody bleed out from the kneecap? I don't. Do you really want to, it's like, so you want the cop to take the knife or the bullet? Because people view police officers as just civil servants. They are, but they don't view them as human beings. These people do have friends and family too. I don't like everything. I don't like a lot of the rules and regulations that police have to enforce, but at the same time, I'll support them up to certain extents. There's got to be reform, but you shouldn't be abolishing or defunding, because now we see what's happened in Minnesota as a result of that. We're now seeing what's happening in Seattle as a result of that. It's just this endless cycle of hurt feelings. I mean, these people just live in this perpetual cycle of just this irrational passion and high school mentality of caring beyond the limits of caring, if I could say so, in that sort of sense. So basically, statistically, I digress there. Statistically, when I was talking about statistically, white people get shot way more than black people do. Oh, it's because the black population is smaller, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Statistically, white people get shot more than black people, brown people, Asian, etc. But that shouldn't matter. People committing crime and people resisting arrest, and rather than going into court and fighting it, but they probably know they won't, so they just, it's like, oh, this isn't fair. So, like I said, that high school mentality, that's the problem. You're putting yourself at risk. If you disagree with something, get yourself a good lawyer, or there's some good pro bono lawyers out there that will fight for you and give you a good case. You're not always going to win, though, and it looks bad on you when you commit crimes or when you do things that are against the law. But there's some people out there that will, that's the purpose of a lawyer. They'll defend you, and they'll do their best to make sure to lighten the load or even get you off the hook. As disgusting as it says to say that, it's still due process. But a lot of people just think they're above the law and just feel that they can, basically do whatever the hell they want. And there's so many people on both sides that do that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you an excuse. Like I said, if you want to be a child about Trump losing, or if you want to believe that black people are still under the 60s oppression and you want to make a big deal of it and fight about it, that's your choice. You're going to suffer eventually. You know, you're going to get arrested, or you're going to lose your life, or you're going to lose your job, or, you know, something is going to happen. And yeah, I mean, there's going to be people that are going to be on standby to bail you out and all that good stuff, but that doesn't absolve you from your, you know, and I'm not saying this in a religious sense, but just in a practical sense, that doesn't absolve you of your sin. You're still going to have dirty hands. You're, you know, getting bailed out and, you know, getting off the hook for things like that. Oh, yeah. Or basically getting a light sentence or grievance or probation or things like that. Why would you settle for something like that in life? It makes it so much more difficult to live life, because you're walking on a razor thin line to where you could just fall off at any moment and completely ruin your life. But that goes back to our previous video about talking about boredom, not being raised properly, you know, guilt by association, things like that. It just warps your mind into doing so many atrocities.
And you could always just, like, not commit the crime, you know.
It's for some reason, Pikachu, it's tough for people. Because when you're so wrapped up in activism or so passionate about who you support in politics, you lose all train of thought and rationality, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And and that's why I'm a moderate. You know, I'm a moderate conservative. I hate establishment, and everything that's happened recently. I'm done with it. You know, I'm a right leaner that has a gray side to him. I am openly social to certain extents. I'm not going to bend my own morals or my own beliefs to cater to anybody. I mean, that's the bottom line there. I'll accept homosexuality, but not the degeneracy of it. I'll accept gay marriage, and I'll accept gay adoption. I'm not going to accept exposing children to any types of sexuality, pedophilia, or anything like that, which is what the LGBTQ community does support, or is desperately trying to support. I support President Trump, but not enough to go out there and just do QAnon bullshit, crackpot conspiracy theories, or, run amok somewhere just because I'm pissed off that somebody lost and I'm worried about what's going to happen with the new administration. And we'll get to that too. Let's get to that, revolution. They did it too fucking soon. If we're talking about a civil war, which a lot of people want, and if we're talking about what's going to happen in this country, talking about a revolution, throwing the tea over the boat again, or something like that, let's talk about that. They did it. They showed their hand way too soon. And I'm not encouraging anybody to go out there based off what I'm saying here, but let's just kind of allude it to the Revolutionary War for a second here. They went far too early. I mean, Biden had not even done anything yet. And that's what I'm going to say there. Biden had not done anything yet. We know what he's planning on doing, but we have to see if it gets implemented first, because that's what King George did, implemented tyranny upon the colonies of America. If Biden were to implement so many unconstitutional laws and regulations into our country, and it starts affecting us, and we're all being affected by it, that's when you stand up. That's when you have to take a stand. Because he can talk a big game and he can do all this, but you have to see if he falls through. Otherwise, you're doing something way too soon, and you're wasting everybody's time and energy, and now you're making yourself look like a jackass. I mean, the Republican Party just completely worsened their case with going on Capitol Hill. I understand the reason. I don't blame them. But it's not an excuse.
Yeah.
I understand the reason why Antifa and Black Lives Matter are mad. I don't agree to the reason, because it's a lot of bullshit. But I understand their passion, and I understand how they feel. Empathy doesn't mean agreement or tolerance. It just means you know where someone's coming from, whether you agree or not. And that's something that a lot of people can't grasp.
Nope.
Just because I understand where somebody comes from doesn't mean I condone it.
Exactly.
And I expect that of everybody. But alas, not everybody thinks in the gray.
No.
So again, I'm not trying to incite, because I know it's like, oh, YouTube, whoop, whoop, Pikachu and Gray Fox are going to try to blow up the country and everything. They're talking about revolution. I'm talking about what you actually need to do in order to formulate a revolution. But I'm not condoning to do it unless we are beyond wit's end. Unless we were at those 1770s levels of tyranny and oppression. But we don't know if it's sincerely going to go through. But so far, it's not looking good.
No.
So let's get to that even. The media. Sucking Biden's dick. Yeah. Unbelievable 180. I mean, this is the same media that hated Biden in the past for his dishonesty. And he was in office in the Senate. Lying about his education. Just lying about, it's like, oh, he lost his family and everything like that. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it sucks and I felt bad for him there. But 47 years, and this is all he's got to show for it, catering to activism? Just to get votes?
And even say stuff that makes sense.
And it's just so it was so funny just hearing these hope fags just basically going on there like, oh, the white on the mall is like stretching out like Biden's arms are stretching out for healing, and I mean that fruitcake. And I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, that was an extension. The Washington Monument was an extension of Biden's, struggling dick that's basically going to ram us up the ass, basically. Yeah. If I could be colorful there for a moment, but boy, I tell you, it's just incredible how the media is just totally just getting on their knees and blowing Biden to gratification. It's like they think he's like God's gift to Earth or something.
He's going to save us from everything that's wrong.
Oh yeah, and then it's like, when you see him with his mask off and everything, it's like, hey, COVID's over, all right, but I want you to take the 100-day challenge, double mask it up, because if you're not double masking it up, you're not cool. Oh yeah, 90s propaganda, gotta love it. Especially, and I love our new White House secretary. I love how, it's like, give her blonde hair and just watch her twirl her finger around her ponytail while she's like chewing gum up on that podium. These are the important things that are going on. Are they going to change the color scheme of the Air Force One? Oh, that's a great question there. Yeah, real great journalism, just like Kotaku. Just real great journalism there. That's really the important stuff that people in this country want to hear about. Let's have fun. Oh, but we need to have fun to alleviate the COVID-19 issues that we're all going through and whatnot. Look, I get it, and like we said before in the Kotaku review and everything, you gotta do things to basically alleviate the stress and everything of that nature. But you gotta also laugh at the irony of the questions that are being asked of this administration compared to the previous administration. It's now going to it goes from attacking questions to useless questions.
I know.
Because they're NPCs. They completely beep boop back and forth between each other.
You ask that, you're an airhead. Anyway.
Of course. I mean, they're all just total bimbo airheads. I mean, that's all it is, basically. It's the same thing as those nurses and doctors doing those Zoom and TikTok dances and everything. It's like, oh, we're under so much pressure. I get it. Okay. You got people dying of COVID-19 and everything. I love those memes where it's like, oh, Father, I wish I could have held you in my arms one last time. And you're seen behind the glass, and then in the background, the nurses and doctors are all dancing. It's a sick irony. It's just a sick laugh and irony. I mean, that's what it pretty much is right there. It's just a sick joke and a sick irony. But they totally love him, and we knew this. We knew this was going to happen. We completely knew that this was going to happen. The Keystone Pipe Project, kaput. We're going to lose thousands of jobs. It's even going to affect people in Canada. I don't care what your stance is on fossil fuels or anything, but if you really care about, this is what I was talking about in a video before. Progressives only care about the environment. They care nothing about humanity at all. They believe to be these big science believers, but then they cater to these like these constructs of gender, and they cater to these just irrational constructs of gender and sexuality. They cater towards abortion. And again, I'm not even coming from religion, If you got life inside of you and you snuff it out, you're killing the kid. I'm sorry. Oh, but then, it's like, I don't want to bring him into, like, a harsh society and whatnot. And then if I bring him into the foster system, then they're going to mistreat the child. You don't know that. You don't know that.
Plus, you could just not sleep with somebody.
Yeah,
anyway.
I was just going to get to that. Thank you.
Not do it.
Yeah, you could just, you could get your tubes tied, or you could, practice foreplay, or you could just, not be an irresponsible bitch or like a horny bastard and stop sticking it in people or letting people stick it in you.
Yeah.
But then there's those, but then there's those studies out there where they're like, oh, if you don't have sex, you're going to be depressed. Everything. Let me tell you something. I haven't had sex in 12 years. 12 years. I'm doing great. I'm doing fine. You can call me an incel if you want to. I don't care. I'm not an incel. I don't hate women. I don't like women, but I don't hate them. I don't like certain women. Let's say I don't like women in general. Doesn't mean, though, that I'm going to treat women with disrespect or anything like that. But if we're all equal, then you're going to get equal criticism. Man or woman, I don't give a shit. Yeah. But, and if somebody comes along and makes me happy and whatnot, hey, I'll take it. I'll fucking take it. But in the meantime, I'm happy. I've got a great job now that I love more than the 10 years I wasted on the other one. My sister cares about me. I've got great friends. My family loves me. I'm working hard. I'm enjoying what I do for a living. I'm enjoying my free time, my hobbies, everything like that. I'm doing just fine. I used to be in the mindset that I would be sad, without somebody, but those days are over. Sometimes it just takes a little longer to get out of that, oh, I'm so alone phase, and it took me a little while, but I did it, You're not really alone unless you're only going to suffer based on your mentality. If your emotions are unchecked, you're going to believe a lot of stuff that are said out there about, sex or drugs or, gratification or things like that. If you have your head on your shoulders, you're going to be more cautious. You're going to be more accepting of certain things. You're going to be have better capacity to adapt to certain things, or if you so choose, improve yourself. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. That's true mental health there. And then the opposite part of it is basically people think poor mental health is making fun of others or saying things that hurt people's feelings. That's like bad mental health or being a psychopath. Believe me, if you're just basically sprouting things from fact or just getting a kick out of things, you're an asshole, or you're pretty much just taking a stand on something you're opposed to. If you go further than that and try to manipulate people into what you believe, like the people that shame you into thinking you have a mental disorder if you misgender someone, for example, that's where you've got problems. But if you have an opinion or you have something to say that you can back up with factual evidence, real factual evidence, all you're doing is stating your opposition. If you're teasing somebody, you're teasing somebody. If they tell you to stop but you keep going, you're bullying them. That's when you're bullying them and harassing them. Yeah. But if you're just saying words and you're maybe being sarcastic about things, but what you say rings irony to it, like I say a lot, because sarcasm is my coping tool, you can call yourself an asshole, but you're basically also just dropping the mic. So, but regardless of it, words are words. Incitement, true incitement, to where you're basically trying to rally people, like what happened on January 6th and what's happened all of last year, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when actions speak louder than words, and that's when things get out of control. Yeah. So, and we're probably, believe me, I would not, like I was saying before, I'm not going to be surprised if eventually we're going to get arrested for posting something on Facebook, YouTube, any social media. It's not going to surprise me at all. No. At all. Speaking of Facebook, since January 15th to January 20th, I was mysteriously blocked from posting on Facebook. They said it was a technical issue, but miraculously I was able to post again after the inauguration. Gee, I wonder why. I mean, I'll be honest. I have 12 violations on my account. I don't care, but I've got since 2017. I've got 12 violations on my account for just shit talking and posting jokes and posting memes. I haven't said anything insightful or violent or anything like that. All it's been is like, oh, you're trying to promote sexuality. I was making fun of e-thoughts. Oh, you're basically posting a dangerous organization. I was making fun of communists and Nazis. Oh, you were making fun of somebody. I was basically defending myself when I myself was getting insulted. I mean, I don't care if somebody insults me, but I'm at the same time, though, I mean, if I'm going to play along with it, basically. I'm the one that basically got toasted from it, of course. Oh, you said faggot. Uh-oh. World's over. It's all over. So, I wasn't the only one, too. There was a lot of other people, left-leaners, right-leaners, Trump, anti-Trump supporters. Funny. So, that gave me to think this. And you can call it a crackpot theory, but this is one of those times where it sounds legit. Facebook was pretty much randomly banning people, and it didn't matter how many strikes you had or what politics you followed or anything, or whether you had strikes or not. They randomly did it to basically promote equality. And here's what I'm getting at with it. It makes it more difficult to formulate a logical reason on banning somebody if you basically do it without a real reason. And you do it of people from different perspectives, different strikes against their accounts, different hobbies, interests, jobs, things like that. So when you do a randomness with that, you're able to cover up your true intention, which was pretty much what we know, formulating groups together, because I was blocked from creating groups. I don't care about that, though, but, incitement. It comes back to incitement. You can say all you want. It was a technical issue. Hey, it wasn't just right-leaning people that did. We also blocked, some liberals were affected, too. Okay, fine. But you can easily do that to cover up your true intentions. Yeah. We're not stupid. We're not stupid. Well, I only can speak for me and Pikachu, but we're not stupid. I think a majority of other people know that too. The coincidence of it coming off after the inauguration, don't even give me that fucking bullshit that it was a technical glitch. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, no.
I don't care. I don't care who else was included. I don't care if they're anti-Trump. I can easily counteract that and say, okay, well, gee, maybe Facebook was doing that to basically make sure that radical left and right-leaning people didn't do anything. I don't buy that either. Nope. I do not buy that either. Especially, like, if Twitter did it, for example. If Twitter did it, they keep fucking child pornography on there because it doesn't violate their rules and regulations. Bull crap. My friend's sister got booted off of Twitter for having anime bosom in her avatar. So, but yet I see all these e-thoughts showing their real titties on their avatar, even if they're covered by a bikini. And then she decided to do a test and report one of them, and all they had to do was change the profile pic, but they were still active. But yet this random person who doesn't show off her body, just loves anime tits, and is a girl even, and loves to talk, shit about politics and stuff like that, of course she's going to get banned.
Of course.
And she's a right-leaner too. You see, it's just so amusing how the left used to be anti-censorship, anti-tech, big tech, and now they're just embracing with open arms. Used to be anti-police, and then they're praising what happened with the police officers. Like, oh my god, a police officer got hurt and everything. We love the government. They shouldn't have done the Capitol. They're terrorists. They're worse than Al-Qaeda. This is the worst thing we've seen since September 11th. Give me a break.
Yeah.
Breaking Capitol Hill windows is completely different from flying planes into the World Trade Center. Yeah. Or even the Pentagon. That's iffy. If you want to be a conspiracy theorist, that's iffy, but you get what I'm saying.
Same idea. Yeah.
It's so... this is the same fucking radical equilibrium that the left always portrays. We're going to take one tiny person and we're going to basically shame an entire group of people. The right are guilty of the same thing. Like the transgender community. They think that all people in the transgender community are insane. That's not true. Nope. But the problem is that because a majority of them are out of control, a majority of them are out of their minds. They're going to be seen in a negative light. But then you compare it to like responsible gun owners. They equate mass shootings in schools, for example, to basically every gun owner is just insane, illogical, blah blah blah. Not true. I'm a gun owner,
I didn't
and
know you were insane.
yeah, I'm a gun owner, and I've got my head on my shoulders. They equate it. They just. It's okay if they do it, but if the other people do it, it's wrong. And they try to use the moving the goalposts, like, oh, our ideal is true, like Antifa. Oh, black people are under attack and blah blah, or like Black Lives Matter, black people are under attack, blah blah. So, but these people are pissed off that Trump lost. Who cares how they feel about the upcoming administration? The same thing happened to you guys 4 years ago when Trump was elected, blocking traffic, causing a ruckus, destroying property where you shouldn't have been doing it. If you want to be blunt. At least those right-wingers knew where to attack.
Yeah.
But again, how quick we are to forget things that occurred in the past.
Of course. It doesn't fit the narrative right now, so it didn't happen.
Exactly.
People.
Getting back to Biden's policies, you see Biden. I'll never forget Biden talking about in October. Oh, Trump's done nothing to help with the coronavirus. No planned effect. I do. Then you hear him recently. There's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's really, really. You see, this is where I'm coming from. Personal pronouns on the webpage more important than resolving the COVID circumstance. Oh, we're going to go get that extra 1,400 out there, and I'm going to take all the credit for it.
Yep. Even though we saw Trump do this.
To be fair. To be fair, Republicans voted it out because of the dependency of handouts. But here's the thing, though. Like, even Pelosi wanted to get Trump's wheels going and whatnot. So, yes, Republicans even blocked it out, too. But now we have a fully controlled Democrat Senate. And now he's going to get the credit for it because the Democrats are basically going to vote it in. They're going to get the credit for it. Just like Obama got the credit for pulling out of Iraq when it was Bush's timetable. I didn't like Bush, but I'm just saying it as it is. And now we're going to go back into the seesaw of, oh, things are so terrible. Like, here's what's going to happen if things don't work out. Oh, things are so terrible in the economy and it's all Trump's fault. Oh, things are so hard on Obama and it's all Bush's fault. Oh, Trump's doing great because of Obama's policies. It doesn't fucking work that way. Let me tell you something. We're getting back into the Paris Climate Accord. Our energy bills are going to go up. That has nothing to do with Trump.
No, right?
Our taxes are going to go up. That has nothing to do with Trump. Trump gave tax breaks to people that produce jobs and produce wealth. The poor do not produce wealth. They spend more than they should. That's a majority of the reason why a lot of people are poor is because they overspend their means. I'm sorry. I know there's people that have poor health that comes along and they don't save properly. I mean, but again, it comes down to choice. Like I've said before, your actions will dictate the life you lead. If things happen along the way, yeah, there are roadblocks, but there's ways that you can prevent it or ways you can prepare for it. I have long-term disability. I have long-term disability benefits with my company because, heaven forbid, if I get injured or something like that, or if I get disabled and I can't perform my job, I've got that as a backup. I save to make sure that happens. If my car breaks down, well, I've got a Honda now, so, I don't foresee that happening. But, if things break down, if things get bad, if things just go south, if things just go south, there's always things you can do to either prevent it, not all the time in preventing it, but at least prepare for it. But nobody wants to take that responsibility, and they want to point a finger at somebody else. And they're still going to be pointing fingers at Trump in this administration. If you thought that was over, ha! The TDS is going to carry over. I'm sorry, what?
I said I wish, but no.
I love it. I love the TDS. I love people that freak out about them. They're gonna. I mean, when things go wrong, when they see how bad things will be, if Biden goes full throttle on everything he's going to do, and then they start questioning why do they pay more taxes, why is their energy bill so high, I guarantee they're going to point the finger at Trump rather than the current administration.
Biden's doing wrong.
I mean, we rejoined the World Health Organization, the same fucking group that basically told us in January of last year, I don't foresee us having to wear masks and everything. Yeah, variables can come in the world of science. I get it, but don't, this is what the media does on both sides. Fear-mongering and just implanting and stamping down these, just these strong, firm, statements, and people will gobble them up. Do I want them, though, to be taken off the air? No. I don't care. I mean, I may disagree with a lot of them. Like, I think CNN's a fucking joke, and a majority of Fox News is, too. I don't want them taken off the air, though. What you choose to believe and then discertain from that knowledge that you get, if you want to even call it that sometimes, is, again, your choice. It's not the job of the media to hold your hand, but a lot of the left-leaning ones want to, and the reason why is because they think, and the majority of them even know that a majority of people in this country are stupid. So they hold their hands. They'll like explain what certain things mean. Where it's like, wait a minute, you tell people. I've seen people on the left tell you to read a book, but then they have to like hold your hand and explain what a word means. It's just incredible mental gymnastics with this.
Yes.
There's even people on CNN that are like, oh, there's people on YouTube that have more, likes or subscribers or viewers than CNN does. Oh, poor baby! And they're spreading all this misinformation. Who cares? It's up to you to do the research. They don't need CNN, Fox News, Newsmax, MSNBC, Young Turks. I'm going to use all of them for both sides, medium to small to radical. It's not their job to hold your fucking hand. They're going to present a side to you, and you take it with a grain of salt, or you look into it more. But even then now, with how biased even places you can go to research stuff like this are, you have to sometimes even go back to books in a library to find this shit. There's no true neutral reporting or no true neutral study anymore. It's so biased to both sides.
The only thing that I can think of that's even somewhat close to that is if you're watching a local news channel about something locally that happened. You'll still get a bias, but they'll usually tell you what happened, and kind of that's about it. If you're lucky.
And here's the other thing. There's still a lot of people that report the news on CNN and then also on Fox News without having to spread their opinion. Brett Baer is a perfect example on Fox News. I like the guy. He just reports the news and that's it. I don't remember too many people from CNN because I only watch the talk shows on it, like Don Lemon and Rachel Maddow, who are just totally fucking nuts, and Anderson Cooper. But again, I want to see what both sides say. And honestly, I mean, when I watch like Tucker Carlson, for example, the guy knows what he's talking about. He has sketchy, now, granted, he has sketchy conspiracy theorist style people sometimes come on, like that whole Wuhan thing and whatnot with the genetic lab testing. That I didn't really buy into that, but still, having some people coming out of the woodworks and everything and then getting silenced, it does raise some thought. It really does. But some people are so convinced that there's just no way. I mean, the left are so convinced that there's no way that right-wing conspiracy theories are true at all. There's some irony to a lot of them, but you're right. But then at the same time, though, the conspiracy theories that they come up with, like Russian collusion and things of that nature, they're so sure of themselves that it's happened. It's just so funny to see the 180, Russian collusion, voter fraud, It's just so funny to just see how they're trying to move the goalposts on both sides and just fight each other over that. I can't, that's the reason why I didn't want to get deeply involved in it, because I knew nothing good would happen from it.
Yeah.
Let's go to immigration. We got a convoy coming. I mean, Biden wants to bring in, like, he legitimately said last year that we can, I think it was in March of last year, if I recall, that we can sustain 2 million more people in this country. And I have to question our country's wealth. I want to know where he gets these fucking figures from. I sit here, the problem is that there's nothing wrong with wanting to come into America. Let's start by saying that, as I've said many times, because I don't know if anybody's coming in to listening on this or listening to previous videos we've done. I don't care if you immigrate here, as long as you do it properly and you contribute to our society positively. If you have skills and trade to bring, we can use all the skills and trade we can get. Seriously.
Yeah.
If you've got something to put on the table, it's like what Thomas Sowell said about black children. You need to work yourself up to having a marketable, sustainable skill that's payable in order to become successful. And it's absolutely true. That is the virtue of capitalism, despite its shortcomings in some senses, but it works. These people that are going to be coming over are going to be granted amnesty to come in, and we know that a lot of these people are, not all of them, but we know a lot of these people are going to be drug dealers, child traffickers, criminals. Even criminals we've deported before are going to be able to come back in. They're going to slip through the cracks because of how lenient open borders can be. Oh, it's not going to happen. You don't know what you're talking about. That was the same thing they said about, the Keystone, like when we dissolved the fossil fuel business, for example. That's not true. We're not going to lose jobs. 11,000 so far because of the Keystone pipeline. That's an energy source, by the way. So don't even fucking say that shit anymore. It's just these people are so, like I said, they're so sure of themselves. They don't understand how the economy works when you shut something down all for quote-unquote cleaner energy, going cold turkey, but I'm digressing there. We're opening ourselves up to a lot of pain. And then here comes the question, what if these people who come in with this trade all of a sudden can't do anything? Or what if they lie? What if they lie? What are we going to do? Are we going to kick them out? Probably not. We're probably going to grant them like some form of social benefit, where other hardworking Americans that desperately need these social programs to get themselves back on their feet so they can get back into working class, struggle and suffer, we're going to help other people out. Oh, it's the responsibility of a superpower. I get it. But to do it for so many people where a majority of them have ill repute reputations, or when we're struggling in this country as is, in a lot of cases, especially with a pandemic. This is even the worst part. Bringing them in during a pandemic. Oh, COVID's happening, but no, it's okay. We're going to bring in so many people across the border now. We'll get them tested for COVID-19 and everything, even though they're not legit citizens. We're going to just float your tax dollar to do that. I mean, that's what it pretty much is. Yeah, I don't want my tax dollars going to people like that. It should be your choice for your own charity. That's what it boils down to. That's what being in a free society is. Choice. There's consequences to certain choices that you make, but when you do legit choices, being charitable, that shouldn't be something that should be forced upon you. But it's been forced upon us for just ages. Upon ages. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Department of Treasury. But anyway, this is what it boils down to. Democrats will just give these olive branches to people except Americans. They want to give dependent, and the Americans that they do focus on are so marginal that they're basically trying to give a tiny group of people more power than, but at the same time preach equality. It doesn't work that way. We all are equal. Some of us have to work harder for things, true, but we have equal rights. And if things slip through the cracks, you don't give up. You figure out how to resolve them. But giving up basically means, oh, I'm so oppressed. Nobody cares about anything. But you have to ask those people, did you fully try to do something?
Well, then shut up.
Some do, some don't.
Yeah, well, if they don't, then shut up.
If you feel oppressed, you need to ask yourself, are you really oppressed? What have you done to fix yourself, to adapt? You can't change people's minds. You can't tell people what to do when it's not against the law. You can't tell people what to think or say. But that's what's going to happen. They're even talking, there's rumors about a secret police. We're the fascists. They're talking about the secret police is like a Gestapo, but we're the fascists.
Yeah, somehow.
You see, and it's like, oh, you don't know if that's going to happen. Why do these, and it's so funny when people say things like that, oh, it's not going to happen, you know that. Then why do they preach these things? Why do they say these things? Why is it that when the right says things, they're just like, oh my God, we're going to have homosexual internment camps? That's been a rumor since 2000. And that Mike Pence said, but you see, these are the left feel that their concerns are primarily going to come true, even though they really don't. But yet, then the left does, because here's the difference. This is the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans hold office. Democrats hold power. That's the huge difference. So when you have the mindset of holding power, what are you going to do? You're going to use your power to change things. Republicans, on the other hand, tweak things. Republicans try so hard to tweak things, but then at the same time, they give foreign aid beyond what they should be doing.
Yeah.
They cater and then bend knee when they've lost, which is what they're doing now. This is why I hate both sides. I hate Democrats more than Republicans, but now Republicans are really starting to make me sick. Mm-hmm. Beyond any atrocity they've committed before. It's just there's just no. The only thing I agreed with Biden was when he said he wanted to bring unity. I mean, that's a great thing to say. Yeah. But when you don't act upon it, when you don't do things that are here to help Americans, and you're trying to give aid to people, especially during a pandemic where they could be sick for all we know. But it's all right. We'll float the bill. We're all compassionate people over here. We'll float the bill.
Stop virtue signaling. Yeah. It's not going to help anybody.
These are the people that speak for you. You don't have a voice, really. And I mean, what happened on January 6th proved it. Everybody was praising the police at that time. We had the fucking National Guard there. The National Guard there defending the inauguration. The National Guard there just defending the inauguration. And that's the biggest that we've seen since Abraham Lincoln was elected. That was like, 2 centuries ago. I mean, that's how just crazy this all is. We had just so many tactical vehicles on the mall, in the streets and everything of that nature. I mean, all of a sudden the left loves authoritarianism. They praise it. Oh, but we're just trying to protect our officials. Oh, now you care about them. Yeah. Now you care about them. We're going to go over to the right's house because we don't like what they have to say. Oh, but the right doesn't like what the left have to say and everything. They're terrorists.
Yeah, we're really terrorists.
So the people that were standing outside of all those Republican, houses and like trying to wake them up and twerk and dance and shout and everything and disturbing the peace, can we call them terrorists too? Oh, but it wasn't on Capitol Hill. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's still inciting violence. Yeah. It's okay for the left, but it's evil and bad for the right. And this is one of the reasons, and this is a majority, this is another reason why they did it. As much as I disagree with it and I don't condone it, this is another reason why they went to Capitol Hill. They're pissed off. They're done. They're fed up with not having their voices heard. They know a part of it's Trump not getting elected, and they really believe in the voter fraud. They're sure of themselves. But also, they're not looking forward to this administration. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that's something I would formally protest, but I got a job to do. So, I did a march, but I did it on a weekend, because our mayor, unfortunately, is just a psycho bitch that wastes our taxpayer money, and we're actually suffering through our Department of Transportation as a result. My car registration went up, and mine and other people's car registration went up $40. Because they misappropriated funds for the highway patrol during the recession, and now we all have to suffer.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yep. Mm. I mean, they spent $2,500 on a banner for Black Lives Matter of our tax dollars.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, guys.
There's it's just this catering, this pandering to just such a factually incorrect cause. garnishes more attention than basically people who are worried about losing their livelihood. Your livelihood doesn't matter because there's black people getting shot by police, even though a majority of them break the law and resist arrest, and also pull a weapon out. Go ahead.
That, and I was going to say too, a lot of the black violence is black on black violence, guys.
Of course, but
they
no.
do it to each other.
But this is racism. That's all it is. It's just total racism.
Totally.
You know, if you believe in equality, you understand that everybody has equal opportunity. If you don't see equal opportunity for other people, like we're talking 60s level, if you're seeing actual segregation, that's something you need to fight against. But if you're seeing people making more than you and you think it's unfair, even though they work their asses off to get to that point, I'm sorry. You got to deal with that on your own, or you got to improve yourself. But if you don't think you can, that's your problem, not anyone else's. What people choose to do with their money, with their lives, with their charity, again, that's freedom. But what are we doing right now? We're willing to compromise our freedom for security. And people said, like, oh, it'd never come to that bullshit.
Right.
We saw inklings of it back in Hong Kong. Your security and your safety is more important than your freedom. Oh, thank you so much, Pinko. Thank you so much. God, it's just so great to have people out there telling me what's more important for me in my life, telling me how to live my life, what I should and shouldn't do, what I do need and don't need. God, that's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, and you see,
write it down, please?
Now do you see where I'm coming from? These are people who haven't left high school, that haven't left their parents. And it's so funny, too, because in the work that I do, I see so many people moving back home to their parents. So many people moving back home to their parents in the work that I do, which is still computer related, mind you. But it's really, really sad. And it's just, and I tell you, I hope Generation Z just gets over the bullshit of their millennial parents, the entitlement. I really hope that they start seeing that there's got to be some change and reform with a lot of things in this country, but go into a sense that it benefits, us, legal Americans from any walk of life, any ethnicity, any gender.
Big for that, sadly.
Yeah. There's so many people out there that want the great reset to them is to have somebody come in and conquer us and start over.
That's insane.
That's going too far. There's got to be some order in chaos. That's what I was talking. Pikachu and I were talking about that a few days ago. There has to be some order in chaos. One radical thing I'm going to say, this will be the last note, and then we're going to think about something fun to do. One last thing that I want to say is this. If Mexico we know how bad Mexico can be in a lot of parts.
Yeah.
If Mexico's so terrible, then why don't we just absorb them into our country completely? Just abolish the border and make them a part of America. And then basically get their joint economy with what little is of it, but basically embrace them into our laws, let them keep the culture and everything. Because hey, our culture's all around the city. We've got Chinatown and Little Italy and things of that nature in a lot of metropolitan areas. Why can't we do the same thing with Mexico? Perhaps let's go ahead. We'll enforce drug bans. We'll basically stop a lot of prostitution, child trafficking, because we care enough. We've got the power to do it. The problem, though, is that a lot of people think we're going to destroy their identity in doing that, and it'll be white imperialism and colonialism or whatever you want to throw at it. But we're willing, though, but here's the thing, though. Wouldn't the people be so much better off? Even if they're in, worse poverty conditions, which a lot of them are in the favelas, for example. I've seen them across the Rio Grande and El Paso, for example. If they're in such poor, terrible living conditions, and we can get them out of that, and then work together in that sort of sense with that kind of open border. Wow, Fox, that's very libertarian of you, because a lot of the left leaners believe in open borders. But think about it, if we could do that. But the problem is that we'd be seen as the white saviors and colonizers and imperialism, imperial types. And and heaven forbid, we might not even be able to do anything. That's the other thing to keep in mind. We might not even be able to save them. They're so far done in. I know we wouldn't take their culture away from them, they can still embrace it, but yeah. So, you know, it's just that I'm not agreeing to it or anything, but it is an interesting kind of viewpoint, basically, to think about, regardless. But yeah, you know, I mean, you know, it is what it is. We're gonna see politicians speaking without their masks, and they're gonna use the excuse that nobody can hear them. But you know, rules for thee, but not for me. You know,
there'd be so many ways to fix that. Attach your little microphone to your collar and wear your mask anyway.
Yeah. There's ways to filter it out too through the mask and whatnot. Yeah. So if you're worried about muffling and things of that nature, but you know, I mean, that's what it is. It's rules for thee, but not for me. So we're going to see more of that. I mean, I only wear a mask in a store because I don't want to become a YouTube sensation overnight.
Yeah, that and some of the stores will refuse the business.
But it comes down to choice. It comes down to choice. You know, that's what it boils down to. Whether you choose to wear a mask or not, you can call somebody selfish for that or anything of that nature. It's personal responsibility. That's what it comes down to. Also, a lot of people who are, you know, it's not so hard to wear a mask, why not wear it? That's not the point. It's not difficult to wear the mask. You're right. The problem, though, is that how long are we going to have to do this? Even with the vaccine and just the intricate ways that they're going to be doing things to where what if they make this like a mandate for good? Oh, it might not happen, and it's true. It may or may not happen, but there's so many possibilities with how far this can go. I mean, we're digging in deeper and deeper and deeper into just authoritarian ideals.
Yeah.
Executive orders are all of a sudden cool again because it's Democrats doing it.
Of course.
Democratic power is loved more than Republican power is. And that's the way it seems to have been for the entire 21st century. We idealize and praise destroying progress. And speaking of which, that's what activists do. Yeah. They basically do not give any type of thumbs up, kudos, or anything to progress that's been made. All they focus on is the past. Yep. Just like people focus on politicians' past, like Trump's, for example. And even Biden's. It doesn't matter. Biden, it's a little bit more difficult to kind of say that, though, because he's been in politics longer than Trump has. But regardless of that, though, we judge on the merits of the present, not the past. But unfortunately, people are so indoctrinated into focusing on past mistakes that were made in this country that aren't even being repeated to the extent that they were back then, that they live in these delusions that we still do them. They think a nuclear family is oppressive, but there's a lot of people out there that love to have the housewife while they work, you know, while the male works and then the women raise the children and everything of that nature. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if the roles were reversed, if a woman was working and the dad was basically staying at home taking care of the kids, there's nothing wrong with that either. You know, you're a wuss if you're a guy. And I say that jokingly. I mean, there's some guys out there that don't mind doing that, you know. I believe in an equal household, you know. If I were married, both of us could be working. We'll both take care of the children and everything of that nature there. You know, we'll basically, you know, split the cooking and the house chores and everything like that. That's equality right there. You know, that's the way I personally don't mind it. And then there's even some people, I mean, it's the same thing with like a same-sex household too. One person is willing to do one or the other or both. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter your gender, race, or anything. If this is the way that you want to live in your household, do it. It's fine. Oh, but there was like all this segregation, anti-black stuff. Yeah, I know, and it was terrible and it was wrong. But it doesn't mean that it's happening. It's over. Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of there's some racist idiots out there that shoot their mouths off. There's some wacko radical nationalists. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a nationalist, but when you take it too far to fanaticism, yeah, there's a lot of them that basically gather people where it's just like, oh, white power, or oh, you know, we should let anybody in even if they're legal or things of that nature. I mean, yeah, okay. Big fucking deal. I don't care. You know, there's worse things that they could be doing. You know, they could be firebombing, they could be destroying property, things like that. Yeah. But then there's the one time that the right does it, and all of a sudden it's Al Qaeda or ISIS, or you know, we're all terrorists, or yeah.
Who the hell knows? Whatever you want to call it.
So, you know, Secretary Pompeo said it best. Censorship, wokeness, political correctness in all points in one direction. Authoritarianism, cloaked as moral righteousness, and we've said that before in one way or another. We've said that before, one way or another. That's the truth of it. It has nothing to do with resolving the issue. It just has to do with making yourself feel better morally above others. It gives you that illusion.
Virtue signaling.
Black people think they're so oppressed and it's the end of the world, but then they see these corporations which they're supposed to be against supporting them. Amazon, Nike, B&B, Netflix, Google, you name it. All these big corporations have their backs. These multi-billion-dollar corporations in a capitalist society have their backs, but it's not good enough. They're still oppressed. They suck the dick of who they deem as helpless in this country to see themselves as the moral heroes. But all it is basically is to spread authoritarianism against innocent people that either don't see it that way because they know it's bullshit, or basically viewing the bad apples in our society as everybody.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to. Corruption, incompetence, dementia, racism, nepotism. By those powers combined, you're, Joe Biden.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm not looking forward to a lot of stuff. We did it, we ended fascism, and then we've got all of these troops in the street and everything of that nature. Yay! Fascism's over! But they're only there to protect. Oh, so now you believe in protecting people with force. I see how it is. You can't defend yourself because, basically you believe in the Hampton Institutes. They're stealing out of anger and frustration and everything. But when it comes to your leaders in your country that you love, you'll defend them. But if you hate them, it's like, oh, they need to be shot and killed. I mean, see, it's disgusting mental gymnastic, goalpost moving authoritarianism.
Yeah.
There you go.
And this really worries me too. I don't have a lot of confidence in Biden mentally, and as old as he is with all of his health issues and other crap, how long do we think he's even going to stay in office? How long is he going to be fit for any type of duty at all?
No,
you saw already how the stuff he said about the illegal aliens. He can't even follow his own doctrine crap.
Yep.
That's pretty sad. And then I don't have any what am I looking for? I don't have any confidence in Harris. I haven't heard very many good things about her either. So we're screwed.
A majority of women can't lead. There's some good women out there in politics, but Tulsi Gabbard was probably the most sane Democrat I'd seen in a long time, for example. But let's be fair, a lot of women don't know how to lead properly. That's just the way it is, because men have led in this society, and the only reason that they want women to lead is because there haven't been any. That's not a winning point or a prerequisite to become a leader. You need to show competence and structure. Clinton couldn't show that.
Here's one way you could help fix that.
Harris can't show that.
Instead of
AOC can't show that. Sorry, go ahead.
Instead of having classes on women's studies and all this stupid crap, you could have a leadership class for women. You could easily do that.
You can have a leadership class,
or for
period.
Any gender.
Exactly. It doesn't matter about the gender.
A leadership class, period.
Leadership. So. There are classes like that. You take a class like that teaches you the fundamentals of leadership without the stupid bias, critical race theory or critical gender bias or anything of that nature. It doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. The way to be a true leader applies to all.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. That's equality. That's where you obtain merit and strength and accomplishment. Is understanding that what you can learn benefits everybody and not just a particular gender.
Exactly.
That's the point. So that's brilliant, Pikachu, that you brought that up. Great way to segue into that. Any closing thoughts?
Other than I'm very concerned about everything. Not really.
Well, we're done being political, so let's move on to something fun. What do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know.
We're going to be turning the AC on in the next video because it's kind of roasting up here. And I got to get some water and take a bathroom break. But we can review another Nintendo issue, Nintendo Power. We haven't done that in a while.
That's that, or we can play a game.
Well, I don't know about a game. I would like to, but I'm kind of.
I don't know how easily it'll record on.
Oh no, it'll record fine on here. My desktop's awesome, but Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I gotta kind of get myself back into a cyberpunk mood eventually. I haven't played that game in a couple weeks. I wish we could.
I could beat up something.
I wish we could play. Yeah, when we get my new laptop, we'll get back to that for sure. Because that way you can have the wireless controller. Because I wouldn't be able because the desktop, like I'd have to get back behind there. It doesn't have Bluetooth, sadly. But we'll definitely do that when I get a new laptop for sure. So sorry about that, Pikachu. God, I wish we could play Dividend some more, but unfortunately, they lost my save spot. What was I gonna say? Well. And then the funny thing is, I wanted to play that joke of or that dirty game I got on Steam, that Futanari game, because the dialogue in it is like Oscar-worthy dialogue, and by Oscar-worthy I mean it's just such American dirty talk. Yeah, but I plus I more so want to do it because I just want to see how long it would stay up, because it's basically there's a lot of like hardcore shit in there, and one of the characters that I've seen on that basically are just like sadist, basically. Whoa. Like it's a sadist boss and everything. Oh, call me mistress. Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
But I love the joke of it. Like the joke of it is, your friends are going to see this game purchased and stuff. It's like, yeah, I know. But I mean, honestly, I wanted to see. I mean, I'll tell you, Critical Bliss has done some fantastic stuff. Like this is just pure smut, but like their Midnight Succubus game, their Tower and Sword of Succubus games. I mean, they're dirty and raunchy, but they have that fun like Zelda and Castlevania feel to them. So and they have pretty great soundtracks too.
Yeah, the music is
so great. It's just great music, and I mean, hell, if you're into the dirty stuff, their animations are pretty good for 8-bit. So. So it's like the hentai is the icing on the cake, but the gameplay is actually like, oh, wow. So they actually made a game that's fun and perverted. Sign me up. It's like High School DxD. It's got story and story, or plot and plot.
The story for that is so good.
Another I mean, well, that would just be kind of more on the drab sense. I was going to say we could watch that video about those Facebook mods talking about how they get PTSD from moderating 6 hours a day. Oh, we could save that I think we'll save that for another time, though.
Maybe we should wait till we have Boku and artists.
Yeah, we could. That would be great. Yeah, we're gonna have to hold off on group recordings with that because of the laptop. But good news is, at least we'll still be able to watch stuff on it, especially since we'll be bringing it over next Sunday. Because sadly, Boku's laptop has resolution problems, and it is what it is there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Nintendo Power sounds great.
Nintendo Power sounds good. Okay.
You can't really get any other games right now.
All right, yeah. Let me see what issue we're on real quick here. Let me go over to my list here. Okay, we'll be at issue 8. All right. Well, we'll get issue 8 loaded up. So we're going to take a water break, bathroom break, get cooled down and everything, and we'll see you then. This is Gray Fox 37, and see you then.